double check the participants and make sure that Mary Tolman's not on.
Is that because you uninvited her, Doc? You didn't want her in?
No, we're trying to figure out where she's usually here early, Commissioner.
Yeah.
I know it.
All right. Just the way you said it sounded funny.
I know
Let's
it.
make sure he's not here.
Well, yeah, I see. It would make sense, doesn't it?
Semantics.
Semantics. Well, we got 4. We got Lauren's on and okay. We got a little technical difficulty here. We got to get rid of the green screen. There we go. Very good. Will you check participants and see if Commissioner Tolman's on for me, please? Don't see her? Okay, very good. I'd like to call to order the Sweetwater County Board of County Commissioners meeting this Wednesday, August 25th, 2021 for the Sweetwater County Intergovernmental Joint Leadership Meeting, including the cities of Green River, Rock Springs, and the towns of Bear Oil, Granger, Superior, Wamsutter, and of course, the Sweetwater Board of County Commissioners. I would like to notify that we do have a quorum present. We have 2 commissioners in chamber. We have 2 on Zoom. Commissioner Smith and Commissioner Schoenfeld are on Zoom. And with that, Commissioner Tolman is excused. I would ask that everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. At this time, I would entertain a motion from the commission to suspend Robert's rules.
I'd so move.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lloyd to suspend Robert's rules. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Schoenfeld. Any further discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. With that, we'll first off on our agenda, we'll see who's here. And at first, we'll go to Rock Springs. Mayor Coma, are you present?
Mr. Chairman, I am present.
Good.
And I believe we have several counselors here, Counselor Demas, Counselor West, Counselor Hickerson. Believe that's all I see at this point.
All right, thank you and welcome council members. Glad you could join us. How about the city of Green River, Mayor Rust?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I'm here. Reed Clevenger, our city administrator, is on, although he has to leave fairly soon. And Ryan Rust, our government affairs person, is on also.
All right, welcome Green River. Thanks for joining us. How about the town of Bear Oil? Were they able to get on? Anybody from Bear Oil? Anybody from Bear Oil? Apparently not. With that, how about town of Granger?
Yes, I am, Commissioner Wendling. We are on. Just myself.
Okay, good afternoon, Mayor, and glad you could join us. How about the city of Superior, or the town of Superior? I'm sorry. Dominic, you out there? Or a council member from Superior? Nope. Okay, and finally, the town of Wamsutter.
I made it on.
Welcome, Dusty. Anybody there with you?
I just looking through the list and I did not see anybody else from here.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time. With that, the first thing I would ask is mayor's Is there anything after looking at the agenda that you would like to have added or discussed at this meeting?
No, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. All right, thank you very much. So we'll follow along with what was sent out. The first thing we have is we're going to go into committee updates, but I would like to, first of all, go to the general purpose initiative and ask Commissioner Smith to report on the ambulance, since he is going to have to leave us early and he has another a meeting. So Commissioner Smith, can you tell us anything about the ambulance committee for the general purpose?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the adjustment in the agenda there. Southwest Counseling here at 6 o'clock. So do appreciate that. Yeah, I was waiting to see how things went with the general purpose meeting last week and the direction that we're going with advertising and those sort of things. So as a committee, we'll be getting together. I'll be sending out an email to get our committee together shortly. It's Wednesday, so either this week or beginning of next, to talk about the division of how we would like to pay for ambulance and also the language of the MOU, those sort of things. So that will be heading out here shortly. And aside from that, we've not met. Progress continues with the ambulance, and I think we're getting very close to being able to finalize some things, make a decision in the next, hopefully, a few weeks, if not a month or so. And that's my report.
Thank you. Any questions for Commissioner Smith regarding the ambulance? Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Smith. We'll go back now to our first item, our committee updates, and that's the special purpose tax with the 6 penny. And Commissioner Schoenfeld, anything to report there?
Yeah, so we need to get meeting again. We did not meet the proposed deadline that we had put together to get projects approved and in front of the commission, partially because of the general purpose tax. There was a little bit of confusion around whether that would affect the 6 penny tax initiative. And I don't believe, in the long run, I don't believe it will. Obviously, we still have the projects that need to be completed throughout our communities. And so I plan on meeting again in the next probably 2 weeks, beginning of September, to get things moving again with that. We are on a good track. We were way ahead of where we were 2 years ago. And so other than that, I don't have any other updates for that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Any questions out there for Commissioner Schoenfeld regarding the 6 penny? That would be the special purpose tax. Okay, with no questions, we'll move on. Joint Airport, I had Commissioner Tolman to report on that. Is there, I don't believe she's on yet. So is there anybody that was on that committee with her need to report on the joint airport? Okay, I believe not. Thank you. Joint telecommunications. And again, for us as a county, we just appointed board members to it. I think everybody knows that the county commissioner appointee is Commissioner Schoenfeld. So Commissioner, do you have anything to report on telecommunications?
So as you just stated, we just got everybody kind of reorganized, and now that the county is involved, I think the plan is to begin on a strategic planning process. We haven't started that yet. We actually just had one meeting that I wasn't able to attend. It was over a mandatory safety meeting at work. And so I have touched base with David Halter, and we are going to be working on that strategic planning, and we'll have more news to come as soon as we start working through that process.
All right, thank you. I believe our other 2 board members we appointed to that, one was David Halter and the other one was Tim Knight. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you very much. So, all right, moving on. How about centralized inventory? And Commissioner Tolman again isn't here. Is there anybody that was on that committee can give us an update? I'm hearing it's going pretty well. But there's Matt. Good job, Matt. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Commissioner Wendling. We haven't met in a little while, but you're right, it has gone pretty well. The first items that the janitorial items we selected vendors and we started using them. A few hiccups from our side a little bit just for a new vendor and getting used to them kind of, but I think we'll get them ironed out. And then the other item that we went out to bid for was paper. It ended up coming in. The price wasn't really as advantageous as we hoped. So we just decided to turn away those bids and I guess just kind of buy paper as we deem necessary as sales come up and whatnot. So next step, I guess, is just deciding on where we want to go from here, what items we want to look for in the future, I guess. So
Good.
we need to get together again.
Great. Glad to hear that. Any questions for Mr. McBurnett regarding the centralized purchasing? Thank you, Matt. Keep up the good work. Appreciate it. Outdoor Rec Committee, Mayor Rust, are you out there, please?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. So on August 5th, the Outdoor Recreation Committee met and we had a 2-hour meeting. It was both Zoom and in person. We had about 21 individuals and they represented all kinds of, I've got a list here: industry, county travel and tourism, the commissioners, the city of Green River, the city of Rock Springs, BLM, SWCO, Friends of the Red Desert, bird watchers, Trout Unlimited. So there was a real diverse group of people there representing outdoor recreation interests. There was a number of people that have been in the process before that weren't there. But the agenda was basically to review a charter that is a standard format that I believe the state parks people that are guiding us in this whole thing, Bighorn Basin in 2019 and Wind River in 2020, were the first two areas that the parks began to organize a collaborative on outdoor recreation. And they developed this charter, and we spent the whole meeting, even though I'm kind of looking at the agenda that we had, it was broken down by 5 minutes and 10 minutes and 15 minutes, and none of that was adhered to. The whole time we broke down into groups and we talked about the charter and we talked about such things as attendance and communication and roles and decision-making. And probably the biggest one is commitment of the people that were involved there. But anyway, it's the way to begin to organize the group. We did that. The second half of the meeting was intended to be potential projects, 12 of which we've already identified. That's not a complete group. That's going to be revisited. That will be a key, the ones that are selected as that will be going forward, because this whole collaborative idea is to share resources and amongst which is from the state's parks guidelines, some of their grants that are available. So we need to narrow and prioritize the projects. That's going to be our agenda in the next meeting. That next meeting is going to be September 28th. And I guess the big thing I'd like to just mention to any of the group, that if anybody has an interest in joining this group, I'm going to tell you real quick here, the 7 people on the steering committee, and they have the ability, and the people, they're supposed to be the ones that are the go-between the whole committee and the state parks people. So if you're interested in participating in this and you're not already, you might, the steering committee is made up of Mark Kopp, myself, Doc, Mark Lyon from Rock Springs, Janessa Meredith, Eric Bingham, and Dylan Bear. So if you contact any of those people, if you'd like to be a participant, if you have a project that you think, needs to be included, please contact one of those people. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. Any questions for Mayor Rust? All right, good job, good report. Thank you. Now going back to our general purpose initiative committees. Next one would be joint communications, and that was led by Commissioner Lloyd. So Commissioner Lloyd, would you report on joint communications?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. And yeah, we met last Wednesday at 3:30 and had a well-attended meeting. Meeting was held by Zoom and in person. And I think altogether we had about 11 to 13 people show up to the meeting. We had pretty good discussion. Discussion focused on creating some ideas of how to market the tax initiative specific to the joint telecom. One of the other discussion points was coming up with a real clear name to call the Joint Telecom Center during the mission, because during the campaign, because, you know, Sweetwater County, Rock Springs, Green River Joint Telecommunications Center is not the easiest to get out there. So maybe making sure we call it Joint Telecom 911, or coming up with a universal call name to make it a little easier to understand and to recite, because even I almost stumbled over that a moment ago. We also talked about some of the intent of the committee. We did share some of our marketing strategies at the marketing meeting held last week, which Lauren will cover in a little bit. We also discussed the history of joint telecom, discussed kind of the history of where it came from, why it was established, and where we're at now. And then we decided, and I will be getting a Zoom meeting invite out today or tomorrow. We will be meeting again next Wednesday at 3:30 in the same format at the what is our conference room called? The Castle Rock room at the county building, or by Zoom. And we will be meeting again. I'm currently working with Ryan Rust, who's kind of helping me run the committee, looking at, where do we go next? The committee wanted to hear some of the marketing strategy and directions before we kind of decided where we wanted to go to next, and then kind of coming up with a unified vision of where we need to go next regarding our committee. So that's our report. Ryan, do you have anything to add?
I don't think I do at this time, Roy.
Okay. And anyone that was on that committee, if they have anything to add. I mean, I see Chief Wamsley up there and a few other members, so I want to make sure everyone has the opportunity to share if I missed something.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Ryan Russ, for helping out with that. Any questions for the joint communications from out there? Very good. With that, we'll move on to our general purpose committee. And again, Commissioner Schoenfeld.
Yes, so we, as Roy just mentioned, we met on Monday, and we will be meeting again Monday afternoon, I believe 3 to 4:30. We really reviewed the overall presentation. The City of Green River has worked very hard to put together an overall presentation, and we actually will be planning on presenting a cohesive marketing package to this group at our next meeting. They are currently working on some brochures, and we discussed some of the same things that Commissioner Lloyd just mentioned, coming up with a very cohesive name so that it's easy to recognize, and really making sure that we cover all the bases. We talked about where we were looking at marketing and a potential budget, and we will be bringing those forward to all of our respective councils and commission as we come up with our next meetings. And I will not be at our next commission meeting, and so I will be relying on Commissioner Lloyd to bring that forward for approval. I think that we've got a good solid marketing plan moving forward, and we will be brushing up the timeline in our meeting on Monday, and really working on pulling everything together, along with pulling in resources from the ambulance and the joint telecom group as well. So we make sure that we're all cohesively sending the same message out to the public. And with that, I will turn this over to Reed or any of the members of his team that are on to share anything additional that I missed.
Thank you, Commissioner. Mr. Clevenger, are you still on?
He just had to leave,
All right.
Mr. Chairman.
So, all right, thank you. But anybody else from the General Purpose Committee have want to have any input? With that,
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
Commissioner
think
Lloyd.
I want to throw out some of the things discussed in that meeting were some of those concerns that we think we have to address to help answer questions to potentially get the tax passed. I think one of the biggest questions that was thrown out there was in some of the concerns from constituents was that folks are concerned that citizens are concerned that in 4 years, by just a vote of by a municipality commission, whatever, we wouldn't have to take it back to the voters for tax. So how do we alleviate that fear how do we alleviate that fear? And it's a really hard, difficult thing to do because we can't promise that any of the commissioners are still available or any of the councilmen are still there. And how do we come up with a concept to alleviate that fear and let voters know that, our intention is to try to get it back, is to take it back to the voters. So that was one of the big hurdles that was talked about in the meeting. So I just think it's important to put that thought out there for folks to review and think about, because that could be a huge challenge in this piece.
Thank you, Commissioner Lloyd. Appreciate that. Any other questions? Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Mayor Como, floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm hearing the same thing and would be exactly my concerns as well. I think there's a lot of consensus out in the public that if this is passed, then immediately we're going to try to make a move and make this permanent. Where realistically, what we want to do is to show the public that our intentions and that the funds raised are going to a worthwhile and a commendable project. So I think when we start talking about the marketing, we need to make sure that we get that information out there that, we went through that with the fifth penny and it was years and years and years before that was turned into a permanent fixture, and now we couldn't live without it. And I think the community would agree with that. But just to reiterate what Lauren and Roy said, I think it's important that we let everybody know that that's not the intention. We want to show the public what good we can do and be transparent with everything we do and make sure that it's a great benefit to the community.
Go ahead, Mayor.
That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, Mayor. One of the things.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, Commissioner Schoenfeld.
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're okay.
I also wanted to throw out there too, if there's other concerns that you all are hearing in the community, we would love to hear those. Yes. Because in order to run a proper marketing campaign, it helps best to know what the concerns and the issues are so that we can address those with that campaign and ensure that we are heading off those questions before they become a bigger issue. So let us know, please.
Thank you. And from your group,
Chairman, Mr. Chairman,
who
this
was
is
it?
Brad.
Go ahead, Mayor.
Brad.
Mayor McCollum.
Yes, the one concern that we have that I've been kind of hearing is, since we are such a small group and are only represented by just a very few, and our dollar value at the end of it is going to be minimal. What it amounts to is we need somebody that's going to be able to come out and speak to these people and let them, try to let them get things off their chest and let them get some answers to questions that they have. And they're the questions that I don't have an answer for. But they're definitely, there's interest in it, but then again, there's also, they're going to be saddled with it for 4 years, and with just a minimal amount of representation.
Sure. Are you a member of that general purpose, Mayor?
I am
Okay.
not. I have not gotten on there yet.
Okay, you're sure welcome to, because we want representation from your town and you'll have the insight to those questions. So I'm sure Commissioner Schoenfeld, I think the invitations, do they include the mayors of the small towns?
They should, and I'll double check. I just made a note to
Yeah.
make sure that he's on there.
Oh, very
They
good.
do,
Because,
and I'm pretty sure-
yeah, because Mayor,
Unfortunately, we had
go ahead, Mayor.
unfortunately, we had one of our council members who was on board with that. His wife had had a bit of an accident, and she had hit, basically cracked her skull, and she's been in hospitals, and so he's been out of the loop on that. So in turn, I've been out of the loop on it. But yeah, I'll try to get back into that, and Lauren, if you can get that, Commissioner Lauren, if you can get that back to me, I'd appreciate that very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Absolutely.
Our thoughts go out to your council member's family and hope everything goes well there. The thing, and what you requested was just exactly segue into what I was going to say is that I think we need to get as many questions answered that we know are out there, and then we need to have some talking points put together because we're getting requests to begin to do public presentations about it to help people understand what's going on. So the committee's got some heavy lifting to do in a short amount of time, because here next week, we're in September, and that's just 2 months away from the initiative. I would ask Clerk Lane, do you know what the deadline is to have the referendum put together for the ballot? The ballot's already made, so the referendum's on there, right? All right, so we all know that. So very good. That's good to know. With
Chairman?
that, yes, go ahead, Keaton.
This is Jim Walmsley, actually.
Oh, I saw Keaton pop up. I'm sorry, Jim. Anyhow,
Just
go
a
ahead. Go ahead,
couple of
Chief.
questions. I can turn on my video if you'd like. Just a couple of
I like your
quick
background.
questions and comments. One of the things that I think will be extremely important in this endeavor first is to find a good way of defining exactly what economic development means. I think people can easily buy into public safety as a need, but I think if we fail to define what economic development funds will be used for, I think it may submarine the entire effort. The other question I have is actually for Commissioner Smith. He earlier referred to a series of meetings that had occurred in reference to EMS. I'm on the EMS MOU committee, and I have not yet received any invites for those meetings. Might I ask what meetings have been held and what progress has been made? Thank you.
Okay, I don't believe Commissioner Smith's is on. Am I right? He had to get off early for a 6 o'clock meeting with.
No, Commissioner Smith's still here.
There he is. There he is. Commissioner Smith.
Yeah. Yeah, I can, to explain that, Chief, the meetings have been the meetings that I've continually had for about 1.5 years on the ambulance progress. And so our group with the MOU is really about this tax initiative and what we're doing there. I'm happy to, well, I guess I'm not happy, but I can share on occasion some items, but many items of these meetings, have been asked to be confidential and things like that until we make any move forward. So those groups have not really done much at all. I'm sorry, not groups, but the meetings that I've had have been more individualistic as far as the contract and where it's going to go. Our group is tasked more with how is it going to be paid for if we do pass the tax? What kind of division do we want to do with that? And also the MOU amongst the entities that are involved with that. And so I hope that kind of clears it up a little bit of where we're at.
Thank you, Commissioner Smith.
I
Mr.
guess-
Walmsley, did you get that?
I got that. The only comment I would have is, again, I have not been made aware of any of the MOU group meetings, and
Let me answer that for you, please.
Yeah.
Right now.
We haven't had one yet, Jim. We're
Okay, but on top of that, let me share this. I mean, we have our ambulance board that right now works with has an MOU or a contract with Sweetwater Medics and has through their bylaws, have some oversight with Sweetwater Medics, and that oversight is through an MOU. That is one thing that's going on, Chief. The other thing now that's going on is in this tax initiative for public safety is the question that what we want to know from people is if they pass this public safety entity, we have now a funding for, first off, under public safety, ambulance, and then second, joint communications, and then on down the line, law enforcement or whatever comes next in the communities. This is an entirely different endeavor that does not involve that ambulance board. This group for general purpose will work to work towards how the funding will be split for ambulance service. They will work with the attorneys for an MOU defining that. And then if we go into if referendum is passed and that type of thing, then we will, with the three entities, again, be looking to going out for bids as to who will provide services for the entities under this general purpose funding. So two different entities. These committees that are going on are to establish things within the referendum for the general purpose, not to take on any of the previous duties that are in the other boards, whether it's the ambulance board, whether it's the telecommunications, a little different, but that's a leadership issue from the three entities that fund it. And then, of course, when we talk about the general purpose, that's everybody that's involved in the county of the 4 towns, the 2 cities and the county. So I hope I explained that well enough for you, Chief. If I didn't, tell me what I need to say and I'll do a better job.
No, Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to make sure that I was not missing any meetings. I am on the ambulance oversight board, and we do have a meeting coming up on September 22nd. If there's any progress, I think that would be a good venue to voice that progress and keep us informed so that we can help with the effort.
Sure. And I'm the liaison to that ambulance board. Commissioner Smith will keep me appraised, as well as Commissioner Tolman, because they're both in that group. And I will share whatever information they have with the ambulance group. Just keep you in the loop. Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions out there regarding the general purpose, the joint communications, or ambulance?
I've got one, Mr. Chairman. Not really a question, but more of a statement.
Councilman West, go ahead.
So we learned in that marketing meeting on Monday, general purpose meeting, whatever we're calling it now, that the local Republican Party has come out against the tax initiative and that they feel like the tax is too big, that 1% is too big of an ask, as well as the fear that the other commissioners have spoke about in regards to making it permanent. So I think that's an immediate hurdle that needs to be addressed. I think part of the charge is being led by Representative Stith, who says, or at least has told our governing body, that we need to tax ourselves because the state isn't going to help. And then constituent Stith comes out and says, but don't tax yourselves too much. I don't know if there's other members, within that party that have an issue with it, but that's something that carries some weight, I would think. And that's something we should head off and trying to kind of explain ourselves and the reason for it. Just wanted to mention that.
No,
I believe Clerk Lane stated that, sorry about that. Clerk Lane told us that absentee ballots will be going out as soon as September 17th. So a concern we had as far as marketing efforts and trying to get MOUs between, Rock Springs, Green River, the county, if we're looking at 30 grand or whatever it was for marketing and a 10-10-10 split. Our next meeting, or I guess our next regularly scheduled meeting, would be September 7th, which is about 2 weeks away. So obviously that doesn't leave a lot of time between the 17th. It doesn't sound like there's a whole lot of absentees going out, but nonetheless, I guess we'll see what happens on our next meeting Monday, but we might have to have special meetings or something to try and push this thing along, so.
There you go. The one thing I would advise is coming out of your councils and stuff, if there's a concern about that it's just going to be continued, and we decide no, we want the people to vote again on it. I think since it's already on the initiative, we can come out with a referendum or a resolution from our councils and boards telling the public that we're going to not continue it without their vote of representation. But again, too, that would be important for that general committee to talk about and then bring recommendations back to our councils as well as the commission. And then we act on them as soon as possible based on our meeting schedule or special meeting. Does that help out, Keaton?
Yeah, I'm just trying to get
Yeah.
at, they're moving along quickly, so we're gonna have to start making some decisions.
I hear you. And I appreciate the input because you're right on. And I don't know what to say about, I think, I believe the economic development is, SCDC is working on, hey, here's what that quarter penny would be, up to a quarter penny would be spent on and how and that type of thing. So they're preparing guidelines for that, which we should be getting here shortly. So it can be part of our conversations. And then with the, the referendum can be taken care of, voting again. And I think in general, our representatives, most of our representatives and most of our senators, not only in Sweetwater County, but across the state, have probably signed the no tax increase bill that down at the state, supporting no taxes. So I think they have to come out that way, but we'll have to battle it the best way we can, Keaton. And I'd still challenge Representative Stith, who came in here and said, hey, even in the commission and talked about the ambulance, but could not provide what future funding would be when that soft money runs out, if there's help coming from the legislature. So, and if that's not only Commissioner Stith, that would be, or not Commissioner, but Representative Stith, that would be any of the other legislators. I know there's soft money out there, but who's going to pick up the tab when the soft money goes away? And we still haven't got that answer. So I think we can battle it from that standpoint a little bit too. So anything else, council members or anybody that's on the meeting regarding the committees and where they're at and what they're doing?
Mr. Chairman,
Mayor.
I just, I'm wondering if maybe it'd be good if a couple of us met with the GOP membership and had a discussion with them locally, so we do not have the Republican Party coming out in opposition to these efforts. It concerns me. Councilman West is exactly correct. And going to Cheyenne, we all know, we were told to go home and use what powers we were given.
Mm-hmm.
And then you do that. Next thing you know, here we are. And I'm just wondering if it makes any headway to maybe join their next meeting and have a discussion with them and maybe an educational type of discussion.
That'd be a good idea. Does anybody disagree?
I support that wholeheartedly.
Okay. I think Pete Rust, are you still on? What's your thoughts coming out of Green River?
Yeah, I'm here, Mr. Chairman, and it only makes sense to me that you need to talk to the people that are opposed to it and try and present the all of the wisdom that we've talked about for the last several months, especially given what both Keaton and the mayor just brought up, is that they told us we're doing exactly what they told us to do, and then they take away our initiative. So we need to hear from them and what's their solution? If they tell us to do it locally, we try doing it locally, and then they stop that.
Well, I think it's a good idea. So let's make sure we have, I don't know, Tim, who would you have go there with you?
Well, I would be happy to go, but I think Lauren, Keaton, on this committee, we're well aware of what we've been told, and Representative Stitt can do some damage behind the scenes, and
Oh, yeah.
we know how that goes. But we don't want to get into that situation where we're not following up on those people that are opposing us.
Okay. All righty. So let's see. Pete, can you have people at that next meeting? Do we even know when it is? Next Republic?
16.
It's on
It's-
September 16th, right, Lauren?
Yes, sir.
What time, when, where?
I believe it's at 6. I'll
Yeah,
have to
typically.
look. And I
location?
can send it out to our group, but yes, I plan on attending.
All right,
for
make sure
county.
you send it out to your group and then carbon copy, at least me on the commission as well as the 2 mayors or all 5 mayors, but anyhow, or I should say all 6. But anyhow, yeah, let's plan on seeing what we can do to head that off and see if we can't change their thinking, okay?
Sounds great.
All righty, and because that's their meeting, and and we're just going there, I would say to my commissioners that if there's more than 2 of us there, it don't matter because it's a GOP meeting. It's not a meeting we called. So I would say that we don't have to worry about a quorum being there. All right, anything else? One thing I would like to mention and be aware of as lead people for especially the general purpose initiatives, when those groups meet, please check carefully, commissioners. These meetings are called by the county commission. And it's very important that no more than 2 commissioners are attending any one of the meetings totally, whether it's Zoom and or in person. So make sure the leads check attendance. And if you see a 3rd commissioner in there, please remind them to not attend because we called the meetings, it becomes a quorum. So just a point of information, watch your attendance. We do not want to violate our open meeting law. Thank you. Going on with that, next thing on the agenda I have is other. Does anybody have anything for other? No? Then items for next meeting. Is there anything to be discussed, fellow leaders, that you'd like to see at the next meeting besides these committees called up again? Anything else that's going on out there that would involve all 6 government agencies in a conversation?
Mr. Chairman,
Mayor Como.
maybe we should have some discussion here. We don't get a chance to get together. Maybe our possibilities also on our joint effort to secure some grant funding from the communities affected by the coal.
Okay. Let me share this much. The governor had a individual, Stephanie, I think of her last name, I'll look on my phone, but anyhow, she contacted me as being the Sweetwater County rep for that grant to work with the governor office in gathering information from our county. And of course, there were other appointees from other coal counties. That lady left and there's nothing coming out of the governor's office. I called a week ago and talked to Rennie McKay, couldn't get an answer. It's almost like we got a lot going on, and that's one of those grants we're not going to look at or deal with. So Rennie said he'd check in on it, and I said I'd check with him a week to 10 days to see what the status is, if it's anything. So where I'm at with it is if it's something that we can do on our own, I've read through it and everything says it's coordinated with the governor's office from what I read on it, Mayor. Did you read anything else in it?
No, I just know that it sounds like there were several communities lining up for those dollars. So that's unfortunate to hear that kind of news because we are definitely one of the major communities affected by coal. We need to keep an eye on that.
Well, and we need to keep checking, but we also need to, the other thing I'll do, Mayor, is I'll ask Miss Marshall, our grants manager, if she would look into that and see if it's anything we can do on our own without the governor's office and that type of thing.
I think that's a good idea.
And just to share with you, there's $300+ million for those coal companies, and it's again tied similar to the same guidelines as what we see with the other rescue monies, with one of them primarily being water, sewer, and economic development for economic development. So, and with the other guidelines, yeah, we would certainly line up if we knew where to line up out of the state's office.
As we've learned before, we can't wait for the state or the feds to help us through it. Heck, we're still waiting for help over the economic development projects that we've been working on for going on a year. You know what I'm talking about? So, if she could check into it, Doc, I'm sure going to dig into it too. But we better take the reins.
Well, and you know what? You started to say something. I thought you were going to finish it with something else, but what you say is exactly right. But what you alluded to is Sweetwater County, which means Green River, Rock Springs, a county, and Granger, Superior, Wamsutter, Bear Oil. We've been known to get things done and get them done on our own. And this might be one of those things that we have to find out if we can take it by the horns and work it ourselves. So let me see what kind of time Christina has to possibly look into that, and I'll do some more reading too. I read it all once and was ready for the governor, and they dropped the ball, and I don't know why. I can't get an answer, but we'll keep working on it. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you for that. Other items to discuss that you'd like to have at the next meeting or something? Anybody? Anything that we're intergovernmental combined working at?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Schoenfeld.
this isn't for the next meeting. I just wanted to know if the city of Rock Springs, I know that you guys were planning on turning in an application to FEMA or had talked about that with the flooding. I was just curious as if that got turned in and what the status was on that, if anything.
Commissioner Schoenfeld, I'm going to defer that to Chief Walmsley. He can bring you up to speed.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Schoenfeld, yes, the information that was collected from the surveys was collated, the duplicates removed, and that spreadsheet sent to the state for their input. Right now, it's sitting in the hands of the State Department of Homeland Security and the state floodplain manager. And we will wait for their evaluation and see what they have to say.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Schoenfeld. Good question. Anything else for the group? All right. When would you like to have our next meeting? Mayors?
Mr. Chairman, it's just my thoughts with the time frame that we're on, especially I don't know when the marketing committee, the other committees plan to meet, but I'd say soon after that date, we need to start molding our plan forward here. So I'd say that's going to be heavily dependent on when Commissioner Schoenfeld and Commissioner Lloyd, Commissioner Smith have scheduled their meetings so they can return us a recommendation or an update. We can hash it out from there.
Commissioner Schoenfeld, when do you think you're going to have the next meeting?
Mr. Chairman, we're meeting on Monday next week.
Okay, Commissioner Lloyd, I think you just sent out an invite. What was that for?
Yeah, we are doing our second meeting for
Excellent.
the Joint Communications Center on Wednesday at 3:30.
That's the first. Okay, so we've got the 30th and the 1st. And Commissioner Smith, I believe, is in his meeting. I don't see him up there anymore. Commissioner Smith. I think he'll be meeting quickly. So, mayors, I would say if we're saying shortly after their meetings, either the 6th or the 13th, maybe. 6th is Labor Day. Sorry.
Yeah, Monday evenings, this is Brad, Mr. Chairman. Monday evenings work the best for me.
Monday evening. So what about the 13th?
That would probably be fine. I don't see any problem with that.
What about Mayor Como, Mayor Rust?
13th works for me.
Works for me too.
That's 2 weeks, but the thing I want to encourage our committees is to meet and get things resolved so they can report back, and hopefully we can have 2 or 3 meetings. We're running out of time, I believe. And then, of course, we do have that 16th with the GOP, and I'm looking at my calendar. I'm out of town that day, so Lauren and the rest of the commissioners, you're going to have to carry the pail, okay? All right, so Commissioner.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just wanted to propose that we will have, my committee will have a marketing packet ready to go to review with the group and make available for them to use for their resources after that meeting. And we can review that, answer any questions, and kind of put some FAQs together so we're all on the same page at that meeting.
So at the 13th, you're going to be ready to do that?
Yes, we'll get it done.
Very good. Timely. Appreciate that. All right, Mayor Russ, the 13th, okay?
Yes, sir.
All righty. So we've got the 13th scheduled for our next intergovernmental joint leadership meeting. We'll run pretty much the same agenda, but I think don't hesitate to request for something to be added that's going on in the county that we can have conversations about, that we're jointly responsible for, and that type of thing. So with that, our next meeting is set for September 13th. Since we're out of Robert's rules, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Oh, I so move.
Got a motion by Commissioner Lloyd to adjourn. We got a second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Schoenfeld. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Aye. Motion, the meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Be safe, and thanks for your time. Have a
Thanks,
good day.
everybody.
Thank you all.
Thank you.